You've got questions? Andrew Mason has the answers. This is Mason's Mailbag, presented by Prime Sport.
It's now less than 1 month until training camp. Yes, in fewer than 4 weeks, we're going to be talking about the real start of the 2017 season. The players arriving, the pads popping. Pretty exciting to get into that. But for now, we're going to take a look ahead. We're going to start by talking about Garett Bolles. By the way, I'm Andrew Mason. Thanks for joining me on Mason's Mailbag. And I'm so excited about talking about Garett Bolles that I forgot to identify myself. But let's get to the question from KJ Dyer. What tools does Garett Bolles have that would allow him to play left tackle as a rookie? Well, start with what he can do in pass protection. Already solid in that part of his game. That comes from his work at the University of Utah. Reasonably pass-intensive offense, and the Broncos like what he did in pass pro on film. That was one reason why they selected him number 20, why they liked him ahead of Ryan Ramczyk out of Wisconsin. The run blocking, that's going to come. But the other thing I think that's going to help him, even though he's going to make mistakes, he makes them at full speed, he makes them at full intensity. That's you can see the intensity from him on a day-to-day basis on the practice field when the Broncos were out there working during OTAs and minicamp. That was a big part of the reason why he was already seeing some first-team reps when the Broncos got toward the last week of their off-season work. Big thing for him, it's going to be cleaning up kind of the grabbiness. You don't want him to take as many penalties as he did at Utah, and also continuing to study his playbook. That's one thing I've heard very good things about regarding Garett Bolles, is how good a student of the game he is. You want to see that continue. The intensity there is there. If the study habits are there and the performance continues to improve, then you're talking about a player who could be a viable starter from day one. Last week we touched on the Ring of Fame. We're going back there for the second question this week from Ron Brewer. In your opinion, who is the most underrated Ring of Famer? I'm going to go with Louis Wright. Of course, played in the 1970s and 1980s. A guy who probably should be in the Hall of Fame conversation, may well get in the Hall of Fame conversation in the Seniors Committee. I know Jeff Legwold, who is the Broncos Hall of Fame voting representative and is also on the Seniors Committee. I know he wants to push Louis Wright, and I know he's an advocate for Louis Wright getting in. A big cornerback, a long cornerback, physically ahead of his time in what he did as a player, and was willing to do anything to help the team. Now, he was a great cornerback. He was a lockdown cornerback, but he was also very involved on special teams. I mean, you look at one of the biggest plays he ever had. Was on a blocked field goal against San Diego in overtime in 1985. And one of my favorite plays from Louis Wright, I think it's in 1976. He's blocking for a punt return by Rick Upchurch, and Louis Wright has such a long stride and is so fast that he's actually kind of getting out in front of Rick Upchurch. He kind of almost has to get out of Upchurch's way to make sure that Upchurch can get to the end zone. But that was just sort of the all-around player that Louis Wright was. There wasn't a weakness in his game. He was gifted physically, and he had the work ethic, and he had the instincts to channel that, and was a truly great player. Outstanding Ring of Famer. I'd like to see him in the Hall of Fame someday. I'm not sure there's a more underrated Ring of Famer or underrated great player in Broncos history than Louis Wright. So thanks for that question. If you want to join us next week after the 4th of July, when we're going to have fewer than 3 weeks left until training camp, go to denverbroncos.com/Mason's Mailbag or find me on Twitter, @MaceDenver. Please use the hashtag AskMace. Until next week, take care, and thanks for watching.